presentation by staff and Baxter and Woodman on the upcoming East Main Street Reconstruction project. 90% plans. Brett, this is up to you. This is our contracted Baxter and Woodman engineers.
So I suspect that I'll go through the presentation and then answer questions after the meeting, because there's a few items after this. I'll try to be brief. Basically, what this presentation is what we did to the Wisconsin DOT for the funding that we got for the street.
So
Modified a little bit.
I'm gonna add some words for Brett. So the village received $400,000 in streets funding to redo this roadway based on a grant that Rick Heaney wrote. So there's a dollar figure attached to it.
Correct. So again, I'll just run through it quickly. It kind of, the items that we were, we'll start with an overview, go through the proposed improvements and the impacts to the village along East Main Street. The project locations: East Main Street from Milwaukee Street to State Trunk Highway 36. It was built in 1972, so it's had a pretty good life as far as the road goes. A lot of times it's maybe 20-25 years, so it's had a pretty good run. Obviously the concrete's breaking up and needs to have some improvements out there and some utilities and some storm sewer.
Was Nixon president in '72?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is a little video. We flew a drone. It's just a minute long. We flew a drone to kind of show what it looks like now, and then in a minute it'll kind of morph into the proposed look. Everybody's way. So basically that's how it'll look afterwards. The plan is to have the overhead power lines removed, have curb extensions to make it a little bit easier for crossing the road, and also that tends to slow down traffic calming it's called. And the colored pavement will be similar to First Street, and it'll include bike lanes to improve access to the Seven Waters Trail and to 10 Club Park. So this is just a still photo of that again. Basically, we photoshopped the power poles out and just kind of give you an idea what it's gonna look like. And this matches the sheets on the tables here.
Could you speak up a little bit for the folks that are back on this side? I think they might be having a hard time hearing.
Can you hear me okay? So the sheets on the tables here, this isn't obviously the full set of plans. I have it with me, it's like 72 pages. So this just shows, similar to this, it'll show the new curb lines, it'll show the existing curb lines, and it also has the homeowners so you can see what you're addressing if you have any specific questions. When we're done, I can answer any specific questions you have. So the impacts, it'll impact connectivity to like the bike trail, 10 Club Park, Broadway Village. Age and condition of the road. Obviously it's built in '72, so it's ready for an upgrade. And safety improvements with the new crosswalks. We'll make ADA improvements to the curb ramps and the sidewalks. So just to go through a couple of connectivity things, it'll improve the path to 10 Club Park, make it a little bit easier to get there. We have the Waterford Lofts 2 that's constructed, and potentially Waterford Lofts 1 in the future. It'll improve access there, and also to the bike trail, which is right in the middle of the project. Here we have a few select photos of the cracks and the fills and things out there that's been accumulating over the years. So here's one of the features that we're doing, which is also around First Street. These bump outs, it'll make a shorter path crossing the road, and it kind of squeezes the traffic, so it slows down traffic going down Main Street also. Here's some typical bike lanes and curb ramps that'll be improved. So here we have a few photos looking down the street, kind of showing existing, and then with the trees removed and the power lines removed, just kind of give you an idea what it might look like.
Yeah, hold on before you click. So this is a major point for all of you as we discuss this project. So right now, all of the street trees that are located between the sidewalk and the curb are gonna need to come out in order to accommodate reconstruction work down there. We discussed how this is gonna impact the aesthetic of the area, what that's gonna look like. There is not a way for us to get around that. This just has to be part of the project. So what'll be left is a bunch of vertical poles and a bunch of power lines. So the question we've discussed at the staff level is how do we help address that on behalf of all of you and maybe clean that up a little bit? You go next. So we tried to Photoshop a little bit to show what that might look like. So hey, here's how it would look if we just took the trees out. We didn't superimpose the roadway here, but those are gone and left the power lines in place.
And then this one has the
Power lines are removed.
power lines removed.
So it'll clean up the sight lines a lot down there.
So does that mean you won't replace the trees once you pull them out to do the
We
construction?
will put trees back when it's all done, but once you have down there now from an age and maturity standpoint, there's not a way for us to put back as good of a looking tree as you have now. So we're at the 90% plan standpoint. We still have a lot of internal conversation about how we're gonna do it, but we certainly are mindful of making sure that a tree canopy goes back.
Maybe that's what's ruining the sidewalks now.
And so
Trees.
we're discussing species that won't
Right.
spider root out underneath the concrete. They'll have more of a tap root on them, or maybe they're a little more shallow rooting with smaller root structures. Yeah.
So the next few photos, just another couple of perspectives, kind of doing the same thing. Existing photo with the trees removed and the power lines removed. Then one more, just to kind of give you an example.
In the original, when you had, down by the crosswalk and stuff, they'd show that there wasn't any green space for the terrace, it was just
Concrete.
red.
Yeah, colored concrete.
Right, so will we still have terraces farther east? Will we still
So
have green space between
throughout-
the sidewalk and the street?
Yeah, throughout the entire project area, Brett, correct me if I'm wrong, going from memory, it's colored colored concrete throughout.
That's the plan right now.
Yeah. So the idea is to have it be maintenance free and to not have that be a planting area for the future where trees grow back and then we get back to the same. This is a roadway that probably should have gone 80 years without a substantial
Or will there
reconstruction.
be a terrace, that's what I'm just wondering, because
Con-
like in those most recent photos where the trees were cut down,
Right.
you had the green, the grass.
Concrete is the plan, just like the rest of
The
the.
plan is red
Downtown.
concrete
So it'd be concrete all the
Right.
way from Milwaukee
between
Street
the curb
to
and the
36.
sidewalk.
Yes, ma'am.
And then you put trees
Trees
and
back
like a
behind that.
planter. or
No, we would go right behind the sidewalk, and figure out distance off the sidewalk and put them further back.
So the sidewalk, so the trees would be in our yards.
Yes, ma'am.
But it's, or,
How much money
in our yards.
trees in my yard?
Yeah.
Until we get a planting plan that you guys can look at your specific yard, give us time to work through that, and then we'll have conversations about, hey, do you like this there, or should we move it around? That's,
You could be able to put a tree in our yard.
I think there's a lot of individual conversations we're gonna have to have. Yes, sir.
So what is the existing from curb to curb measurement now, and what's the curb measure gonna be from curb to curb?
The back of curb to back of curb is gonna be the same, but the sidewalk has to be wider for ADA accessibility.
So I think that probably answers a lot of people's questions, the curb is not gonna change, so you're still gonna have that, some of that green space out.
No.
between the
No.
curb and the
No.
sidewalk.
Brett, can you go back to the still
Where
photo?
the green is now.
You know,
And they're gonna plant trees there.
He's gonna go back to the still photo, and then we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we want leaf pickup then.
right here.
Yeah, see, there's no,
Yeah.
there's no green there.
Yeah, so if we, really, it comes down to maintenance, right? What does maintenance look like now in other downtown areas? Yes, sir.
If I remember from a 2083 project, if you cannot put grass in there because it will not grow unless it's a certain width.
There are challenges with getting the grass to establish. There are challenges with spalling that takes place over time. There are challenges with maintenance and varying heights of maintenance. There's challenges with runoff management. This is sort of what everything is going to. Unless you have a much bigger area that you can work with, and we've only got a couple of feet here, you're just better off putting concrete. Could we all collectively decide, hey, grass is the thing to have? Yeah, that's a conversation we can have.
I mean, they have grass out here for the schools.
Right, but
It's
the
all
the
grass.
spacing and width that's there is more substantial than what you've got down here. Right, so when we have widths that we start talking about putting a full deck lawnmower on, so we've got, 4 or 5 feet to work with, it starts to make sense to have it become grass. When we get these narrow areas, it just doesn't necessarily make sense. Again, it's a dialogue. We can have conversation about it. We've designed in what we think are best practices to give you all as homeowners and the traveling public the most bang for your buck.
So we have to clean that all out.
Was there?
No, we're trying to shovel all that.
No. You just have to shovel the sidewalk. This is not considered sidewalk, right? So it's just considered decorative concrete. Yeah.
So you're saying the red decorative stuff, we're not gonna have to maintain removing snow?
You don't
just
have to
the
remove
sidewalk,
snow.
what we're doing
Right,
now?
right. So we don't consider it sidewalk. It's just landscaping. So different communities would put in red crushed brick or red granite or gray granite in these areas. So they're just sprayable. We do that in a few other areas. We have turning medians. They used to be flower beds. They all get overgrown. No one wants to go out and work the flower bed in the middle of a median. So we've just taken to doing them low maintenance. We put stone in them. Yes, sir.
All right, I got a question. The main house on what Main Street, next to Tom Coach's is.
Okay.
There's a big green house right on top of the road.
There's no yard.
Where,
There is no front yard.
are you talking about where the tax place is? That house?
Just, no, I'm,
Okay.
I'm
East,
4 houses
east, right?
east.
Okay.
I'm I'm on the east side of Tom Coach's.
What's the address?
Okay.
There's only one house that's right on top of the road. That's me.
Okay.
My question is, if you make the sidewalks bigger,
Yep. What does that do?
what's happening to
They're
my
going
house?
bigger
Water
towards the
front door
street.
now.
Pardon me?
It's going bigger towards the street, not towards not going out, going in towards the street.
Uh,
Yeah, it looks like you got a gap of grass right there.
Yeah, that's between the sidewalk and the street.
Yeah, so that's
Now my question is, okay,
Sure.
next question. He just said the sidewalk's gonna go towards the street. Now, that little green section there, that's the only place I can put snow in the winter. Where am I gonna go with it now?
Same spot.
There ain't gonna be enough space. Yeah, I got the road, the main street
Yeah.
gets plowed on top of it.
So what
It
you
goes
have
into
for
my
distance-
sidewalk. I have been stopped by the police 3 times for having snow go over the bank onto the road.
'Cause we're
I have no
landlocked.
space to put the snow.
So
We're landlocked.
let me ask a question. You're saying today, as it exists, you don't have a place to put the snow?
Right,
You've
well,
been stopped 3
right now,
times?
yeah, I got about this much space.
Okay. So
And everyone, when you get a heavy snow,
Yep.
it goes over and a cop comes by and he starts bitching at me.
I'm
Well,
looking at,
I'm not complaining about that.
Sure.
But he's just said you're gonna go out towards the road with the sidewalk to make it handicap accessible.
do we have a close-in profile on the detail plan?
So we're not losing.
Hey, I got some
Stop.
Let's have a follow-up with you specific and zoom in to look at your property and see what
Alright,
we're doing.
alright, thanks.
It's currently 4 feet, we're going 5.
We have a 66 ROW there,
Yeah. Well, in some spots.
66
Yeah.
with 2
There-
foot.
Basically, yeah, it varies, but
66
Yeah, so I'm gonna say this, let's go through the rest of the presentation to get the overall, and then I'm sure there are,
It would be high back curves.
I think at this point professionally, I've worked on 3 of these. Every property owner has got specific considerations
Well,
for
I mean,
their.
Because we don't have any
I
yard.
think it's
Yeah,
gonna be
but
30,
that's a
And now you
specific
gotta put
consideration
all
for your property we need to address, right, individually. Yeah, we're gonna have to work through it, right, and we just gotta figure out how to work through it. All right, you know, roll on?
I'm damn if I do, damn if I don't.
We can't use the front door.
So compared to now, where the sidewalks are, how much, and the road being wider and the sidewalks wider, how much more into the property will you be?
We won't be any further on the property. And like I said, these sheets here will show, it shows the existing sidewalk and the proposed sidewalk, so each one we can look at if you like after the meeting. Cause we got a couple items after this, and then we can look through these, drawings here.
Okay.
That's okay. We added in the packet here also, the proposed detour route. There will be local access, obviously, during the project, except when they're potentially pouring concrete and stuff like that. But otherwise, there'll be access to the properties. Schedule, I'd like to bid this fall so we can potentially get some of the underground utility work done.
Can we please hang the word tentative on this? There are a whole host of things we have to
Correct.
work through between now and then. I don't want everybody to leave here and go, hey, they're doing it like, we are working towards this. This is our working timeline. We will continue to communicate and update so that everybody knows when we're doing what we're doing.
This means it
what
can
looks
be,
like for
be
now.
bid anywhere from September to January or February of next year. It has to be done in 2027, by 2027, so,
Brett?
Hey, one question is,
yes.
who's, are you bidding with Cornerstone?
Uh,
I hope not.
yeah, we're not, one, they're not in business the way that they were before.
Oh, okay.
So I don't
I
even
guess
think
I'm
they're
not
around
familiar
a
with
bit on
Cornerstone.
it.
Just wondering.
Yeah.
So the majority of the road improvements would be done in 2026. In order to get the state funding, it has to be, the sundown date is July of 2027. So again, traffic control and access will be accesses during construction and for homes and businesses.
Could you go back to the detour slide, please?
Sure.
Just talk about that a bit,
Sure.
describe what it is.
Basically, the road will be closed at either end and say access to local traffic only. So if you live on the street, obviously you can drive on it. If you're familiar with the area, there's other back routes around the road. This will be more for people going through town to, if you're coming from the north and want to go that way, you kind of would have to come down here. Or coming from that way, you go back north on 36, depending on where you're coming and going from.
So we will work to have enhanced enforcement during this time period. There will be times that we really have to control access much more significantly. You all will be able to get through to your homes. There may be times that you're driving on gravel or pulverized concrete. It will not always be a nice pretty road base. That's just the nature of working in a construction area. We will make accommodations for crazy train. We'll have to work through that. That's a whole nother conversation about
Yeah,
bringing
you got
people in
planes
or out.
going up and down that road.
Yeah, I've got concerns about how we're gonna manage it, particularly bikes with gravel and what that looks like. So, I think there are substantial conversations that we've gotta have around, where are we gonna park, where are we gonna stage? And some of that may end up being in front of your houses on good concrete, just so that they can have somewhere safe to go and they're not riding up and down a bigger construction area. Road closed except the local traffic signs on either end, and there'll be something up that's DOT standard that says road open to local business. We'll talk about some kind of a business logo up on the sign because we don't want people to get the idea that they can completely go through to get to any business. And then there's the detour route. So Liz, fantastic news. There shouldn't be any semis going up and down Main Street.
Until after,
until after.
that's
Yeah.
just it though,
They
afterwards.
go down that street every day.
Yes, sir.
Every day, it's
We- we
terrible.
see
It shakes our house
Yes, sir. So this-
and nothing gets done.
Yes, sir. So this road was originally built for heavy traffic, and then with subsidence of the roadway and breakdown of the roadway to protect the utilities, it was posted a long time ago, before I was up here, as no heavy trucks. This roadway is engineered to be a heavy truck route once pavement is back in place. So you should expect as a normal course of business that it's going to be transited by heavy traffic. That's just a connection point. So again, the
I don't know,
road.
I've lived in the house for 37 years.
Yep.
And in those 37 years, it was never a heavy truck access road. it was always light traffic. It may have been built for that,
Class B
but it
highway.
was not designed, it was not meant to be that. It's a residential area. It wasn't meant for semi-traffic to be going through town. I've been there 37 years.
Yeah, it's not a state highway for sure, right? But just like Milwaukee, right? Milwaukee's not a state highway. It accepts heavy truck traffic. Rick?
It was built as a county highway. That's why it's concrete.
I'm not saying that it wasn't. I'm just saying in all the years I've lived there,
Sure.
it was always marked for light-duty traffic.
Sure. So at any rate, detour route and, you know, how we'll get people to and from and around the construction site. Any other questions on detouring?
No, detouring.
Okay. All right.
So really, that's about it. Again, my name is Brett Bewer. Rick Henning from the village. Or Zeke or anybody at the village you could ask for questions if we don't answer them all this evening.
So I've got a few points that I'll go over. Once upon a time, we had stability in the dollar. And stability in the dollar meant that we had a reasonable expectation from an engineering perspective on how we would design a project, what we could expect to pay for a project. And when we got an engineer's opinion of probable cost, that was a pretty good number. And so we could actually budget for it, model any potential tax impacts or impacts to TID districts. That has not been the case since 2020. And we've had several times now that we've had to push projects or amend projects significantly for cost considerations. So we're taking the position on this that we're designing what is a quality project. It is being supported with grant dollars that have been awarded through the federal government. We all know there's some question marks on federal funding at this point on what's been out there. This has been earmarked and allocated, presuming that's safe money that isn't going to go anywhere, but it would impact us financially if those funds were pulled back. So we do have our eye on that also. Line burial, we do not have a full cost on at this point. The utilities will not give us a firm number until they have bid it. They've given us a ballpark number that ranges from a few $100,000 to a few million. And that's a really wide margin to try to hit when you're doing financial planning. So until we get bids back, the board has not been asked to make a final decision on whether utility burial will be a part of this project or not. And until they can be given a number that's a firm number, I don't think it's fair to ask them to make a commitment on something before they even know what it costs. So just want to make sure that's
What is the estimated cost, Brett? Was it around $1 million, I think?
1.7, is it with 2?
We're probably gonna push somewhere between 1.5 and 2 by the time we're done
Is that
talking
for
about.
utilities?
Yeah, by the time we're done talking about TDS and the others that are on. TDS did give us a number, it was about $170K to bury theirs.
No. I'm we're talking about the road project.
Oh, just our water and sewer utilities?
No, the project itself.
Correct. But without the overhead utilities
Yeah.
items, 1.5 to 2.
Yeah. Roadway and utility work. Figure 2.
Just so people know, I mean,
Yeah.
this is.
It's a big project.
It's a big project, it's a big chunk of change, that 400,000 helps, but there's a lot of cost here.
And speaking of the running the power under, so obviously, what is that gonna be on homeowners, that's homeowners from the,
So
it's going from overhead to underground?
if at the times in my past in my career when I've done this, you just can't do that. So the municipality is going to have to pick it up and change services. Some of you already have underground services. There's no change there. Some of you have overhead services. Some of you are served from the front. Some of you are served from the rear. So in the past, when I've done projects like this, we bring in a different electrician company other than the utility to go through and make an analysis on every property and then give us a cost proposal back on what it would take to do that work. We then have them go bid that work individually to you all. You all are the contracted party, not the village, because it's work on your home. And then we, at least the last time I did this, we reimbursed the homeowner for the dollar amount involved.
Okay, any more questions?
I've got a quick question about the trucking. Now, that's gonna have no limit, right? Right now, I'm just wondering
There-
legally, who decides that?
You do.
We'll have an 80,000 pound limit.
Yeah,
You
so-
do.
The road itself wouldn't necessarily have a weight limit. It would just come down to the village ordinances to say whether or not you want to.
Okay, so we'd have control of
Yeah.
what kind of trucking we want on this.
So our houses would still shake when they go down the road.
It's less fun.
I'm serious, come see my house once, they shake.
Mine does too.
This lady in black over there.
Just the overall project, rundown, what's gonna be replaced, so utilities.
Water and sewer utility lines, laterals,
The sewer laterals.
sewer laterals.
From the main to the property.
The,
Okay.
the sewer main will be, lined, so it'd basically be a new pipe within the existing. The sewer lateral will be replaced, a lot of them are clay, or a pipe called Orangeburg, which tends to collapse over time. And the water main will be replaced from Milwaukee Street to Sixth Street, and that's an undersized and much older main.
So the road, surface itself, the curb and gutter that's there and the sidewalks,
Okay,
landscaping,
thank you for clarifying.
sure.
A little bit, completely tore out.
Yeah.
You had a question?
Yeah, so if the road isn't fixed come the winter time, there's like large holes in the pavement right now. Will those holes be filled in before the plows hit this next winter? I have a hole just before my driveway that's really messing up my equipment.
So I'm gonna take a shot in the dark and then you back clean up. Fair?
Okay.
Okay. So the last time that I had a project like this professionally, we ended up going in ground and doing the utility work, trenching everything out, and then backpacking with gravel because it was a slow drive anyway. So we just tried to get it to a level surface, but it wasn't a paved surface going into winter. That was 2013. It was one of the worst winters we've had up here in a decade. And we did our best to plow on gravel. So until I think we get that timeline nailed down.
Yeah, I just want that hole filled in. I mean,
Gravel settles.
I've got
Yeah.
concrete chunks at the end of my
it's
driveway.
gotta make it through a season. Brett, you have
Yeah,
a
so
better answer?
I tentatively like to bid it this fall so we can get the water main section done, which would be Milwaukee to Sixth Street. The rest of it would just happen during road construction, cause the only other underground stuff would be storm sewer leads. Cause the bump outs and things make you have to adjust the inlets and things. But otherwise, the mainline storm sewer will be in place and the sanitary sewer will be lined, which won't affect anything, cause they just do that through the manholes. So the only section that will be really affected would be from Milwaukee to Sixth.
Good
I've
question?
got two questions. Number one, is this road construction similar to what we had out here on West Main and First Street? Or is it like, it's not like the repaving that you guys did on
I'm
Milwaukee
gonna
Street?
bring up his point earlier, which was
No, it'll be a complete tear out.
Okay.
working with Cornerstone Paving out here was probably the worst
No,
experience of my
I
professional
mean
life.
the whole, the whole,
What she's asking, is it a mill and overlay or
Oh,
is it a complete
Right.
tear out?
got it,
yeah,
yeah.
It's
that's,
a complete tear out.
that's.
Yeah, it's
Tearing out the
complete tear out.
existing concrete, putting in new.
And then another question, the driveway from the street to the sidewalk, since you're putting all the new,
Are you-
getting rid of the terrace,
Are you asking about the apron area for the driveways?
is that what that's
Yeah, the
called?
apron.
Yeah, it's like the
When you go
entrance
down
coming
to
in.
the street,
Yeah, Brett.
Correct, that'll be replaced also.
okay.
There's some driveways where we ask for an easement to go a little bit further towards the garage to get a better slope. Cause I know some of them, there's a fairly steep
Yeah,
jump at the
our
sidewalk,
driveway
so
goes
we'll
up
be
this way
asking,
towards the street.
some homeowners to have a temporary easement to redo the driveway a little bit closer to the garage to get a better slope going through there.
Generally speaking, aprons will be poured to the backside of
Sir?
the sidewalk.
Go ahead, sir.
Yes. Let's assume things go the way you kind of think they will. How many months are we talking about that people's lives are gonna be affected between Milwaukee and Highway 36? The whole thing is gonna be starting to dig and then everything's done.
2 years.
That's a great question. Well, it has to be done in 2026, so it'll be, ideally if we can get some utilities done this fall and then get cranking on it first thing in the spring. Before even Memorial Day. It's not gonna be done by the 4th of July parade. It'll be towards the end of the summer and into early fall to really get things wrapped up. And there'd still be some minor items to work, landscaping and stuff to finish up, but.
Go Go ahead, sir.
The question I have is, the approach height, like where your approach up to your driveway's at, is it possible to be a little bit lower?
That's what I would just.
Mine goes back towards my garage. I would like it to go the other direction a little bit if possible.
Are you saying it drains from the road to your garage?
Yes, yes.
We can look
If
at
you
it.
can show me your house, I can
Yeah.
make a note of that.
641.
Okay.
I'll show it to you when we're done then.
Yeah, I'd love to hear stuff like that, cause if we can make any individual issues, fix them while we're at it, then we try to do that.
Is there gonna be any problems with parking on the street? You know, obviously if they're working right there, you can't. I mean,
If,
after hours or,
I think you could after hours, the contractors, with the working hours in town here, just,
you know, to say if you have a whole bunch of people at your house or something, you know, where's everybody gonna park, you know, have a bus and, you know.
7 to
halfway
7
across
typically,
town.
Brett.
yeah, I think we would work with you if need be, we could talk to the contractor. Unless there's something going on right there, you know, I could work something out.
Mike, I'll let you park by me.
Right, you can park by me too, it's all good. I got a big driveway.
Okay, any more questions?
Hey, thank you all.